Red flags. Whenever you're dating someone, do you know what to look for when you first start dating someone? I want to share two experiences that I had when I was dating in college with two different guys. I mean, I wasn't dating them at the same time, but I dated a few guys when I was in college. I'm married now. I've been married for a long time. But in both cases, an animal, a pet, inadvertently revealed something about the true nature of these two men. I mean, the two cases are not connected, but they're remarkably similar. So I want to share these two experiences with you because I think that they're worth mentioning. I know there's a lot of animal lovers out there in the world, so maybe you'll appreciate this. Okay, the first case that I want to share, the first story I have, is about a guy that I started dating when I was in college. We had met at a restaurant where we both worked, and I only worked there a couple of months, and then I found a job somewhere else. And while I was working at this place where he was working, I didn't know him. We just talked a few times, and that was it. I didn't think I would ever see him again. Then a few months later, I ran into him at the beach, and we started chatting, and he asked me if I wanted to go out sometime, and I said, sure. So he called me up, and we arranged our first date. On our first date, I actually went to a concert at a college. It was like a classical music concert that he was playing in. He was playing the clarinet. I think it was a wind instrument. I believe it was a clarinet. So I went there and watched the event. His parents were there. I met them. They were both school teachers. I think they taught high school, both of them. So on paper, it looked like he came from a nice family and he was a nice young man. Not long after that, I visited his house for the first time. He still lived with his parents, and we were walking around in the yard outside, and he had a Rottweiler, which he was extremely proud of. He had raised it since it was a puppy, and the Rottweiler was treated like a member of the family, and he took really good care of this dog. So, of course, I was impressed by that. I love dogs. I noticed while I was there that there was a cat in the yard, and I tried to, get the cat to come over to me because I wanted to pet the cat, or I tried to engage with the cat a little bit, try to pet it because I love animals. But the cat wasn't interested in me at all. It just ignored me and, walked away. Okay, no big deal. I remember on this particular night, after I tried to pet the cat, he said, "That's my mom's cat. It's really old. She's senile." And then he said, "I hate that cat." And I was a little bit taken aback that he would say that because I've never met anyone's pet that I ever hated. But, I didn't make a big deal out of it. I just thought, well, in my mind, if he doesn't like cats, that's his right. Some people love cats and they don't like dogs, and vice versa. Some people prefer dogs over cats. So it's not a crime. Okay. So maybe a few weeks later, we were going to go out again, and I stopped by his house because he didn't have a car. His car had recently been repossessed, and that's another red flag, but I'm not going to get into that part. So he's living at home with his parents, and he doesn't have a car. They're out of town for the weekend. I didn't want to go into the house when they were not there, so we walked around in the yard and talked for a little bit. And suddenly, out of nowhere, his mother's cat comes up to me, and she's meowing like crazy. Meow, meow, meow. Her eyes are like really wide, and I'm not used to being around cats that much because I've never owned a cat. My parents never had a cat. I mean, some of our friends and family had cats, but I'm not an expert at cat behavior. So the cat's not going to him. He lives there, but the cat is coming to me. This is the same cat that wanted nothing to do with me a few weeks earlier. So it suddenly dawned on me that this cat was probably hungry, and that's why it was acting that way. And I turned to him as he was talking, and I said, Did you feed your mom's cat? And the look that he gave me, the look that came over his face, he didn't say one word. He was taller than me. I'm not short, I'm just medium height, but he was a good bit taller than me. So whenever we were standing close to each other, he kind of had to look down at me and I had to look up. And I remember the look that came over his eyes. It was like, how did you know? He never said a word. He didn't, people will get defensive, especially if they've been accused of doing something that they didn't do. He could have said something like, of course I fed the cat. I mean, what kind of person do you think I am? That's my mom's cat. Even if I don't like the cat, I wouldn't neglect it. But he didn't say that. He didn't say a word. He did not respond at all. And I just let it go. But I remember him saying, I hate that cat. And I thought to myself later on, and even to this day, sometimes I think about that incident. He was treating me really well because I was new in his life and because he was interested in me and he wanted to date me. And actually, as we began dating, sometimes he talked about getting married. We did not get married, obviously, but anyway, he did. So I thought to myself, he likes me now because I'm new and I'm young. But, one day, what if I get older? We're all going to get older, but you know what I mean? What happens when I get older? What happens if I'm ever in the position, God forbid, where somebody needs to care for me? Is this the way that he's going to treat me? If he suddenly decides he doesn't like me anymore or that I'm a burden, is he going to treat me this way? Like, neglect me? So that's just something to think about. The cat inadvertently revealed something about his true nature. Now, I have no proof that he didn't feed the cat, but I feel certain that he did not feed the cat. And that's why it was acting that way. Okay, I've already taken 7 minutes telling this story about the first guy. I've only got a few minutes left to tell you the other story. So the other story is actually remarkably similar. I knew this guy in college that wasn't really my type, but we went out a few times, we hung out, and he got this puppy that was so cute. It was a mixed breed dog, and it was just kind of an average sized dog. It wasn't a small dog, and it wasn't a huge dog, but it was really cute as a puppy. And he took it everywhere with him. I remember one time he took it to the beach, and it was so cute because that was the first time it had ever been at the beach, and the dog did something so funny. It crawled in a cooler full of ice to cool off. I mean, everybody laughed, everybody who saw it. Okay, so took the dog everywhere. He loved the dog. He was taking pictures of the puppy all the time. And then, I didn't see him for a while, and then I saw him again, and I asked him about the dog. I realized actually before I asked him about the dog, I realized that he started, as the dog grew up, he was beginning to get more and more annoyed with the dog. Like he really loved it when it was a puppy and when it was cute. And don't get me wrong, I love dogs, but as it grew up into a young adult dog, it wasn't as cute anymore as it had been. Like I mentioned, it was a mutt, and I'm not saying that mutts aren't cute, but it just wasn't as cute. That wouldn't stop me from loving a dog, but I think it stopped him from loving that dog. Because not only was it not as cute as it once had been, but it was also just annoying him. It would get into things, it would tear things up. It was, growing up, getting bigger. And so when I saw him one day, I noticed that he didn't have the dog anymore. And he told me that he gave that dog away. He didn't offer any other explanation. And I knew it was because he was tired of that dog. And once again, that made me think, how this guy treats someone that he was tired of, that was no longer cute to him, or that he considered a burden or an annoyance. How would he treat that person? Would he treat her the same way that he treated the dog? Just something to think about.